Welcome back to Franco Fridays. Today I have a film from the 1980s that Franco did, and this is Linda. It's better known as The Story of Linda, 1981. It's shot in Portugal uh, and at a hotel, a very nice hotel, it looks like. Most of the scenes are centered around this lounge area in this hotel, but basically, this is a women in captivity film which Franco did a lot of. Uh, this one stars the beautiful Playboy playmate Ursula Buckfellner, who's on the cover here, and then she's also, you can see her there as well. She was in Devil Hunters, if you recall, all you Franco fans out there. Uh, Linda is actually played by the 14-year-old at the time, the 14-year-old Freja, what's her name? Katja Beinert. And Katja Beinert was born in 1966 in Germany, so she had to be around 14 years old when she made this film. She's really a subplot in this thing. She's not really, basically, she's, for the way the storyline goes, she is basically escaping from a boarding school, ostensibly to rescue her sister from this sex ring. But really, there's very little of that plot that plays out in this film. It's more of a series of vignettes, sex vignettes. You've got an orgy scene that's a simulated orgy scene. You've got a number of different sex scenes in this that are really kind of along the lines of softcore, what you see on like late night Cinemax kind of thing. A lot of boobs, a lot of bush, but nothing too bad, nothing too explicit. I tell you, Ursula Buckfellner, man, she is. There's a reason why she was a Playboy playmate. Gorgeous, and her dimensions 33, 23, 33. That extra 3 inches was not necessary. I mean, she's a gorgeous woman to look at, and Franco does a great job of displaying her nakedness in all kinds of different scenarios. The most interesting one is where she's in the lounge, being in this glass cage, writhing around in this glass cage. It's crazy stuff. There's also a scene at the end that I've never seen before, where there's kind of sex in the water. Looks like they're kind of splashing around in the ocean and basically having simulated sex. It's one of those kind of deals, and you do get some light, what I'd call some light female torture in this. I mean, it's not as explicit as an Ilsa type film, but the concept is it's a women in captivity film, and Linda's trying to rescue her sister from this sex ring. The film really, from a plot standpoint, there's not a lot here to work with. And it's one of the only films I can think of that Franco did where if you didn't know it was Franco, if someone just took this and showed it to you and took all the credits off of it, would we recognize this as a Franco film? I don't think so. This is very technically, in my opinion, stylistically, a lot of the Franco elements that we know and love are simply not here. This is a very pedestrian, what I call very pedestrian effort on Franco's part. There's just not a lot of that slant that he gives things in terms of camera angles and nuances that we come to know and love. It's just a straight up softcore porn film. Now the music in this is classic, not late '70s disco. It's an upbeat jazz sound, but what they've done is they've kind of brought in like this Nile Rodgers. Remember Nile Rodgers, the guitarist from Chick, Le Freak? You're going to hear a lot of guitar riffs, very much like the disco sound. It's very much a dated film in terms of the music in this. And it's an interesting kind of departure from the normal jazz of Franco films. This is very much jazzy disco with the Nile Rodgers guitar playing in it. It's very technically well done. It's just a very thin plot. And again, the subplot with Linda is almost an afterthought. Um, so don't go into this expecting a cohesive storyline. It's really once you set the basic storyline out of Linda trying to rescue her sister, what you're really going to get is about 45 minutes of sexual vignettes, and that's really what you got here. Can I recommend this? Probably. Probably. This is not one of my favorite ones. I think this is a technically competent film, but I really wanted more of a storyline than I got here. I give it a 5 out of 10. Now this release, this is a very hard film to track down. You can get it from Amazon for about $9. This release is a substance release from 2007, but it's a Canadian release. It's just like a burn on demand disc. It looks like a VHS pan and scan, but it looks like they've upscaled it. I mean, it's a good print. It's just a full screen print. It doesn't it's not a high def type deal. There are a couple special features, including a stills gallery. So it's not a cheap, in that respect. It's not a cheap release. It's just a burn on demand type deal. But yeah, I think if you like women in captivity type thing, women in distress, it's probably worth the watch. But it's not going to be high up on the list of films. I think this one is just one in a series that Franco did back in the late 70s, early 80s. That he just kind of cranked it out. I mean, it's a German production that it's a very short film. It's like 80 minutes. It's not a whole lot there going on. It doesn't really stand out, in my opinion, with the Franco filmography, but I'm trying to go through all the Franco films and give you my thoughts, but this is not one that's going to stand out in his filmography for me, at any rate. So that'll do it for Franco Fridays and Linda. Appreciate you watching. Let me know what you think.